Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about Proof of Time Half Marathon Training, Week 7. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for slow, back-of-the-pack Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong, have a bigger buffer ahead of the balloon ladies, and have time to stop for character photos. Keep listening if your goal is to PR in fun, cross the finish line without feeling broken, and have energy to enjoy the Disney parks. Okay, so trend for the past couple of weeks has just been life got lifey. But overall, the week was really good. The workouts I got done were really good. So I will say, I will preface this with, I got 3 out of my 5 workouts. So I recommend 1 long run, 2 cross training days, 2 speed workouts, and then 2 rest days. So minus the rest days means 5 workouts for the week for cardio. I should clarify that, for cardio. And then doing strength training, depending on what kind of strength training you're doing. It may be 2 days a week, it may be 3 days, it may be 4 days, some people even 5 days. I got 1. Hey, great. Okay. Got something done. This week was a little bit hectic again. Just stuff. So let's get into it. So first of all, Monday was a speed workout. And this was my first run back after being off for 2 weeks, essentially. And it was interesting. So it was a progression run, which I like. And when coming back from time off, like a week, 2 weeks off, if you've been sick or you just haven't been training as much, life got lifey kind of situations, I do recommend choosing something light. So the first workout back, I do recommend being a walk. And I did that last week. So that was great. I did that at the end of the week, Friday morning. That was good. 45 total minutes, split up between 15 minutes and 30 minutes a little bit later. This workout was going to be my first run. For the most part, I do recommend choosing a 45-minute easy run. Or if it hasn't been from illness and you feel pretty good, you could consider doing a speed workout with the caveat of doing that speed workout at slower paces. So because it was a speed workout on the program already, on the schedule already that I like, I said, you know what? I'm going to do that and I'm going to see how it goes, but I will adjust accordingly. And so the plan was to start at 0.4 miles per hour slower than what was indicated. And that was still too fast. So I did my normal warm up. I did my normal easy run for 5 minutes. And then I was starting into the progression run. Now, the progression run, I recommend starting at 0.1 mile per hour faster than what your moderate test is. And you find out what your moderate test is on a pace test. So you start off at 0.1 mile per hour faster than that. What my schedule showed was way faster than my moderate pace, way faster than 0.1 mile per hour faster than my moderate pace. And I didn't catch it right away. So the plan was to start at 0.4 mile per hour slower than that. And it was definitely way too fast. And well, actually, I accidentally started at the number that was written on there. And I thought that was 0.1 mile per hour faster than my moderate pace. Immediately, that was too fast. So I went down to 0.3 miles per hour slower. During the run, I was not thinking. This is why I recommend having it written out beforehand so you don't need to use your brain. You can just look at what is written here, what is tried and true, what has Allie tried, what have her clients tried. I know that starting at 0.1 mile per hour faster is typically fine. And this was going to be just 0.4 mile per hour slower than that. And my brain wasn't working. I don't know what happened, but it was not working. And I totally screwed it up. And I could tell that my body just wasn't in it for the day. So what I did instead was I looked at what my actual moderate pace was during one of my walk breaks, And I looked at it, and that's when I realized that these numbers were way, way off. I actually had put in 1 mile per hour faster instead of 0.1 mile per hour faster. And I actually did this on everybody in Stronger, Faster, Finisher. I did this on everybody's new training plan, but a runner caught it and I was able to fix it, but I didn't fix it on mine. I forgot. So anyway, so that is reason that shows like, oh my God, that's why this was so bad. So anyway, today's goal was to just get back into working out. And I was going slower, but it didn't quite feel slow enough for my first run after 2 weeks. So I ended up choosing just what my moderate pace was. The moderate pace that I pace tested at, that I looked at my pace testing results in my sheet for. And I chose that and I just ran that each time. This was a good reminder that this shouldn't be my regular speed workout. Right? Like doing just the single moderate pace over and over and over again, that's not going to push my upper limits if I do this week after week. But one workout, not the end of the world, especially because it was my first run coming back after 2 weeks. And I will do another podcast episode about this, but I really truly believe that having the knowledge of what is my goal for today and sticking to that and having a goal for each of your runs. Run with purpose. What is the purpose of this run? Today's run was get back into the swing of things. Don't let another day go by because I finally have the time to run. Don't let another day go by where I'm not running, right? That was the goal. So even if I had done a 45-minute easy goal, I would have been able to check off that box. That goal was complete. But I also wanted to do a speed workout. And so not doing the exact numbers that were on my that were on my schedule, that's fine. But doing that every week, because I just, some days you're like, I'm just not in it. I'm just not into it. I'm just going to choose this pace and I'm just going to do this. When you do that week after week, it doesn't work out well for you if you have a goal of getting faster overall. And of course, right now, this is my proof of time training. So I need to over time get faster. But the good thing is, I want to remind you, my race that I'm training for is September 27th. And on the day that I did this workout, it was June 15th. I still have June to July, July to August, August to September. I still have 3 months and 1 week to go. I have plenty of time. So doing this one a little bit slower and not pushing my upper limits, totally fine. Totally fine. And I actually do recommend it because what happens if I actually pushed it on this run and I gassed myself out, stressed and strained my body, and then had to take 2 more weeks off because I got sick, because I overstrained my body? Or what if I got hurt and then I had to take even more time off? It wouldn't be worth it, right? It wouldn't be worth it. Taking one 45-minute workout, and technically the actual workout part of it is 20 to 25 minutes, is risking getting injured or overworked in that 25 minutes worth it to then have to take weeks or months off because something else happened? To me, it's not. To me, it's not worth it. Those 20 or 25 minutes, that one workout, it can wait. So this is to say, like, every once in a while, if you have to just choose that first one pace on the progression run, and that's what gets you to do the workout, great. Love it. It just can't be every time. If it is every time, ask yourself, what is keeping me from wanting to do this run? Do you just not like a progression run? So every time you see it, you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. Allie, what do you have me doing? But every time you see a 30, 20, 10, you're like, oh yeah, this is great. I love this one. Then do 30, 20, 10 more often instead. If you're finding yourself always wanting to take it easy on a progression run or always wanting to skip it, look at all of it in a whole. If you just look at that one workout, you're like, oh, well, I'm just not motivated today. But if you start seeing a pattern of, oh, this happened 2 weeks ago when I had a progression run. This happened 4 weeks ago when I had a progression run. Oh, this has happened 4 times in a row. patterns. And you may not be able to see the pattern yourself. That's one of the benefits of having a coach. I'm really good at recognizing these types of patterns because this is just the way my brain thinks. So I don't expect my runners to be able to see these patterns automatically, but I may ask, like, hey, have you noticed a pattern that X, Y, and Z? And they may say yes or no. And I'll say, okay, well, I'm noticing this. And many runners will be like, oh my God, I never noticed that before. That's okay. Our brains aren't going to work exactly the same. Maybe you see patterns in some other thing completely that I would never think of. I don't know. I don't know. But this is just the way my brain works. And it's good to know, like going back with this pace of just using the moderate pace. At the end of it, it was very interesting because I felt like, oh, I could have done this for a long time. I could have kept going. So I did my pace. My run walk intervals are 3 minutes, 1 minute. I have discussed that I may be adjusting that. I will continue to talk about what I'm doing to determine that. But on a progression run, I do 1 minute running, 1 minute walking, and I alternate between those. So it's not exactly my long run, but I already tried doing 3 minutes of running and it did not go well. I did that a couple of weeks ago. Listen back to one of those episodes. It was terrible. And so I felt like, oh, I could keep going with this. And on a speed workout, if I am pushing my limits, I should be thinking of things like, when is this over? How many more intervals? And by the time it's done, I should be thinking, oh, I am so glad that's done. That's my opinion on it. Not every run should feel like that. Like your long run shouldn't feel like that. Easy runs shouldn't feel like that, but speed workouts should. And that's an indicator that I'm testing my limits. But remember, today's goal was not to test my limits. It was to get back in the swing of things. So I need to remember that over these next few weeks, when I'm doing my speed workouts like hills, tempos, 30, 20, 10, when I do a progression again, I need to remember that if regularly I'm not feeling like, oh, when is this done? Maybe that's an indicator I should pace test again because maybe I have surpassed my old upper limits and I'm not hitting my new upper limits. Typically, that takes about 6 weeks to happen, but look back and see, well, how many of these have I done? Because a progression run, I'm doing that every other week. So I should do 3 progression runs roughly within one pace testing time frame. And then it's time to pace test again. Give or take, because you could pace test every 6 to 8 weeks. You don't have to pace test that early, especially if you're finding like, oh, these workouts are still really challenging for me. I don't feel like, oh, I could have done these speed workouts forever. If you're not questioning like, oh, I wonder what my easy pace is. I wonder if this is accurate. Oh, I wonder if my moderate pace has changed. If you're not questioning those things, you can put pace testing off. But if you're finding yourself like, oh, these, I'm not dying at the end of this anymore. I'm not cursing Allie as much. I am not thinking like, when is this going to be over? And you're thinking, oh, I could have kept going. And you're starting to question, oh, I wonder if I should be doing a 50-minute speed workout. Sure, you may be able to do that. Or you pace test and increase your paces. 6 one, half a dozen the other, depending on what your goal is. You could do either, but again, depending on what your goal is. And then after the speed workout, I did a whole body workout on my machines. It was good. It was well-rounded. I only had 30 minutes to do it. So I did 2 sets of the exercises. And for my legs, I did not do my double leg exercise. So if it was leg press with both legs at the same time, I didn't do it. Calf raise with both legs at the same time, I didn't do it. Ham curl and leg extension, both legs at the same time, I didn't do it. And so I stuck with just the single leg. And I choose to do single leg if I don't have time for all of them, because then I make sure that each individual leg gets worked on without assistance from the other one, which is often what happens when we do double leg or double arm exercise. The stronger limb picks up the slack for the weaker one. So the weaker one may not actually get as strong. And this is why I recommend making sure you're doing single leg and single arm exercises to keep things balanced. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's one arm or one leg at a time. I mean, I guess for leg, you kind of have to do one at a time, but like biceps curls, as an example, if you're holding a dumbbell in each hand and it's not one barbell, that each hand is moving the single barbell, but it's each hand moving its own dumbbell, that counts. You don't have to do all one arm and then all the other arm. You can do both arms at the same time, but holding their individual pieces. That's a bit harder with the leg one. But for arms, biceps curls is an example, triceps extension is an example. Yeah, those are the two biggest ones that I think that would come off of. And overall, this workout was good. It wasn't super easy, but it wasn't super hard. And that's okay because remember, the goal was get back into the rhythm of working out after 2 weeks of not. I don't need to go all out because that could A, make me so sore and not want to do it, or overload my system that was showing signs of strain last week with my Aura Ring saying that I had signs of stress and strain. And so listening to that, so I took it easier, but I should be able to just get back into it and be normal. Okay. So that was Monday. Tuesday was a rest day. So that was normal. Wednesday should have been a speed workout, but I had a dentist appointment in the morning and a hair appointment in the afternoon. Now, normally my dentist appointment is later in the morning, but it was supposed to be last week. And they had to reschedule it. And this is what they had available that worked for me, where I didn't have to wait too long for a teeth cleaning because I did want to talk to them about something with my teeth. So 8 o'clock, okay, fine, no problem. And then I went and got my hair done. So I try and like, if I'm doing appointments, sometimes I do actually try to get them all in one day. So then it's just like, that's the day's events. That's the day's activities. I'm doing appointments. I am not working today. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And then I'm not working out. That wasn't actually the goal of today, but it is what happened. And so that it is what it is. That's the way it worked out. And then Thursday should have been a cross training day. But it turned into a rest day because Royal needed to be at the office and we had the glass people coming back to the house. And so I needed to actually bring Levi to the office. So I drove the two of them there, but I needed to be back by 8 a.m. for the glass people because they were scheduled to come between 8 and 12. Well, they came, and so they had to come back because the shower door was rubbing. And actually, the better word for it is scraping. It was scraping against the curb that they had just put in. So the shower guys come, the glass guys come, and they say, oh, okay, well, did they make new holes for the door to hang off of? And I said, no. And he goes, well, I hate to tell you, but this is probably going to be a bigger job than what we can do today because they probably needed to drill new holes because the tile guys changed the pitch of the curb. And so now the way the glass door hangs is it's too low, and so it's going to scrape. They freaked me out. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I was like, do what you can. And so they did. They did what they could to kind of shimmy it up and adjust it and tighten the screws and do all of these things. I'm holding my breath. I am not convinced that this is what is going to be a permanent fix, but I hope it is because if it doesn't work, they have to remove the glass again. They need to remove the tile on the wall. They need to fill in the old holes. They need to retile. They need to make new holes, and they need to come and put the glass on again. It's a big ordeal. So I don't want to do it. And then I got distracted with work, so I did not work out that day. I also got a facial for the first time in the afternoon, and 0 out of 10, I would not recommend. I liked the results and I thought this would happen, but I hated somebody else touching my face. So I will be researching how to get the results from a facial without having to have somebody touch my face because it was awful. It was awful. And, she did recommend doing this thing called hydrofacial. I have to research it a little bit more. She said that based on what I want, that would help me. And she said, you use a machine for it. So I didn't share with her that I don't like people touching my face. And maybe I should have. I don't know. Like, I don't know how you get a facial without somebody touching your face, though. I was giving it a try. But she said that it requires a machine. So I said, okay, so maybe that means less touching of my face. I don't know. And with the little research I've done, like I said, I need to do more. It doesn't seem like what I'm looking for will work. And the only reason I signed up for a facial, you may be asking, Allie, if you don't want somebody else touching your face, why did you sign up? Well, I signed up because I have a zillion credits at Massage Envy. And the massage therapist I like left. And I have not found one that I like again. And if I do find one that I like again, they typically leave. Now, Myra was working there for years and then she left. I don't know what happened. One day she was there and then another day she was no longer available to book with. And that's all I heard. I don't know if she left on her own volition or what happened. But she's not there. So they also do facials there. So I was like, well, I have a zillion of these credits. I might as well just use them. Well, that may not work. Anyway, I did not get a workout in that day. Then, now that brings us to Friday, and I did my long run, 6.29 miles. It was so good. It was really hot, but it was really good. And it's interesting. The only place I actually felt hot was on my face, which was the only part of my body besides my hands that were uncovered. I cover myself from head to toe. Yes, I live in Las Vegas. Yes, it is hot. The temperature was like 85 at one point. I think it feels like 87 or 88. I got out the earliest I could based on what my morning was like. And so I ran between like 8:30 and 10:30. But the only part of me that was hot was the part that was exposed to the sun. And there was a wind at the beginning of the run, and that was blowing against my face. So that was really good. But at the end of the run, the wind was at my back, so I did not feel that. I had my hat, my long sleeve hooded UV shirt, my Lululemon Fast and Free leggings, and tall socks. My hands were uncovered, but they were low. My face was uncovered with sunscreen. And the last like mile and a half, I was getting hot, but not necessarily like too hot, but it was making me just a little bit nervous. So I did actually text Royal and I said, hey, I'm behind. Like, I'm not going to show up at the house at the time I said I was going to. Don't worry. I'm fine. I'm just taking it easy. Because it wasn't worth pushing through that last mile and a half to feel sick the rest of the day. So I would rather just slow it down, walk a little bit more, or run even slower than feel sick for the whole rest of the day, which has happened to me before from getting heat illness. And it's interesting because the first little bit of time of the run, I was like nervous about getting a sunburn. And then I actually paused. I was going uphill, so it was hard. And so I decided to walk anyway, but I had this really interesting thought. And so I had to message my coach and talk out, like, here's a thought I have. Tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I'm not. But I had to get it off my chest and get the words out there while I was thinking about it. Because I don't know about you. If I don't do it while I'm thinking about it, I forget about it. It doesn't get done. And so I did. And so that gave me a really good boost for the middle miles. And then at the end, I started worrying about going too fast. Now, of course, in the middle miles, I still wasn't going too fast. I had actually dropped my long run pace from my easy pace, which should have been 10 minutes and 55 seconds running. I actually dropped that to be about 12 minutes per mile running. And I even went even slower than that at different points. At some points, I was going 13 minutes per mile running and 14 minutes per mile running. Overall, average pace was like 15 minutes per mile pace instead of overall average, I think should have been 12 minutes per mile pace. And that's between running and walking. So 3 minute per mile pace difference overall because of the heat. So sometimes you need to do that, and that's okay. This is your permission to do that. And it's very interesting. I'm going to be doing a whole different podcast about it. But it's very interesting because I looked at and compared a run I did a couple of weeks ago in much cooler weather to that run on Friday. And it's interesting because I was going 2 minutes per mile slower or 3 minutes per mile slower overall average pace comparatively. But my heart rate was practically the same. It was like 165 beats per minute and 168 or 172. And, comparing side to side, it was within like 3 beats per minute. So I consider that practically the same at those numbers, right? Like that's not a very big change. And it's interesting because I know so many runners catch themselves and say, well, I can't slow down because I'm going to lose fitness. I'm worried about losing my pace, getting out of shape, not being able to go as fast later. And this was very interesting and why I'm going to do a whole separate podcast episode about it, because my heart rate, my heart function during this showed that I was working just as hard at this pace, the roughly 3 minutes per mile slower because of the heat. And so my body was still working just as hard. My body didn't know that I was going slower, essentially, because it was so worked up because of the heat, because my heart has to pump harder to help cool me off. And so you hear all the time that summer slow miles or slow summer miles translate to fast fall races. And this is why. And I'm actually going to do some research and see like the science and the mechanism behind it. Is it just like the heart rate is going faster, or is there cardiac output related to it and things like that? Some of the sciencey stuff for my understanding, and then see if I can bring it down into layman's terms on the podcast to make it consumable and make it understandable for somebody who may not understand that language. But it's very interesting because like I could see it right there looking at these different runs that were roughly the same distance. That was 5 miles and upper change a couple of weeks ago, but my heart rate was the same. And so it shows that my heart and my lungs were functioning just as hard at this slower pace, this significantly slower pace. And so you don't need the permission, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This is your permission to go slower on your long run and especially if it's hot or humid out. It's not worth the risk of getting heat illness, wearing yourself down because you think that you need to hit this certain pace. Your easy pace, I think the best way to put it is your easy pace should be the fastest you're going on a long run. Think of it that way. When you look at your easy pace that you've tested, that should be the fastest you ever go on that long run. And if you need to, or if it happens and you don't even need to, but it happens anyway and you went slower, that's okay. That's what you needed to do that day. Okay. So long run was done. I used my new squeezy boots. I got some of the pneumatic compression boots from Costco, trying them out from Costco because they were a good price and Costco's return policy is excellent. So I did notice that these ones, the sizing probably isn't great for my legs, but it was okay. And it actually, when it squeezed my right foot, it really hurt. And so I don't know if I was situated right, but I did figure out how to adjust it so it didn't actually squeeze my feet and it just squeezed my legs. So once I figured that out, it was much more enjoyable. So I will continue to work on it. And then on Saturday, it should have been a rest day. That's normally a rest day for me, but I decided because tomorrow is Father's Day and then we are taking a mini vacation next week. We're taking a vacation next week. And so I'm going to pack. So it's going to be Father's Day. It's going to be packing. So I decided to do my cross training today and tomorrow will be a rest day. And a park near us just opened up. And so I wanted to get Levi's approval on it and see if it was good. And approval I got. We walked to the park and he rolled around 3 times and he pooped 3 times, even after already pooping in the backyard. So 20 out of 10, Levi recommends this park. It was great. We did like a 1.25 miles walking. and he just absolutely loved it. And then later today, we're going to go see Toy Story 5. So got my workout in. It wasn't quite a Snafari pace. We were kind of going pretty fast in the beginning. I did let him do Snafari pace on the grass, but the ground wasn't too hot. But I also didn't want to chance anything with being out there too long for him or on the pavement or the cement for his little paws. I would have just carried him home if I had to. Yes, I would have been able to do that. That's how close the park was. I didn't have to. I could hold my hand on the ground for ages. So I knew it wasn't too hot for him. But we did pick up the pace a little bit because of that. So I used that 40 minutes as my cross training today, and then I'll just do a rest day. But I did not do any strength training. So only one workout this week for strength training. Overall, pretty good week. Didn't get some workouts in. I'm not going to harp on it. I still am in good fitness overall, working toward my goal. And I know that other weeks I'm going to hit all of my workouts. So it's not the end of the world. I can't have it be every single week. And if that's the case, I really will need to do some reflection and see what needs to change. This is your permission. If a workout doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. I don't recommend making them up. They're gone. So if I missed a speed workout this week, I'm not adding it and tacking it on to do an extra speed workout next week. That is not going to work well. And I did not miss my long run, but I did miss my long runs the past 2 weeks. And so this mileage, you may be curious. So this was 6.29 miles. This past week should have been 7.55, but instead it had to be 6.29 because it had to be 10% more than my last longest run. But if I want to, I could not do a deload week next week, which on vacations, I typically recommend doing a deload week, unless my runners tell me otherwise, because vacations are meant to be fun. And maybe you don't have time to go and do a 2 or 3 hour long run. Maybe you don't want to. So I typically recommend them be deload weeks, but I could remove next week's deload week and do 6.92 miles. And then the week after that will be 7.61. So it will have pretty much caught me up pretty well, right? I could have removed that. So instead, it would have been 7.55 this week. And then the week of 629 would have been 8.31. And so then I'd just be like 1 week behind, so to speak. But there are other ways to adjust the mileage. Instead of going up by 10%, I could go up by, let's say, 12%. And then that means that even if I take a deload week next week, the following week, I'm in the sevens already. If I go up by 12%, if I go up by 15%, I'm at 7.23. And then I could go up by 15% again. And then I'm at 8.31 and I'm essentially back on track. So there are ways to manipulate the schedule. I program for myself and for my runners so that you have these buffers. You can easily get right back on track. That's why I have deload weeks worked in every 5 to 6 weeks, because over the course of a 10K training program, you're going to have one deload week, but over a half marathon, you're going to have a couple of them. So if this happens a couple of times, well, we just use those missed weeks as deload weeks, and then you just catch up. And so it's no missed miles, because if you try and add on more miles to the next week because you missed something, that's when you go overboard and you can overdo it. Because a lot of times what I see runners do is I see them do 2 long runs to make up for the previously missed long run week. And I definitely don't recommend doing that. The only time you should be doing 2 long runs is if you're doing challenges, the 2-course challenge, Goofy, Dopey, 3-course challenge with Springtime Surprise. So you get your body used to doing back to back. But for this running audience, I don't recommend doing an extra long run to make up for the missed long run. It ends up overloading your body too much. and then you end up getting sick or injured because of it. So I actually recommend, instead of going up by 10%, if you're going to adjust the actual long run distance, to make it go up by 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15%, because that's still safe. And then you will catch up in usually a week or two. And then you can be back on track, and it's following the 10% rule after. And technically the 10% rule is between 10 and 15%. So we technically are still following it. But for ease of conversation, I typically just program 10%. So if you go up by about 15% for a week or two, then you'll be caught back up, and then it's just 10% from there on out. So no makeup miles, no worries, no makeups. It's gone. It's dead to you now. That's okay. Then you just need to adjust. So you just may need to adjust the math a little bit and be back on track.